Alright guys, a lot of people have been very curious as to how Duo Vorago works, so I thought I'd do this little talk through and tell you. So requirements, the more the better basically of this. Full vestments, very useful. Chaos Roar, exceptionally useful. Dragon Claw's EOF, very much needed. Grimoire, Champion's Ring, is quite nice. You can use a Reaver's Ring as well. I mean, technically it's best to use Reaver's Ring on phase 1 and 3, and then Warriors, and then Champion's Ring for the rest of it. You also need a Dragon Scimitar. This is vitally important. And you also need a crossbow with some Hydrix bolts in your quiver in order to gain lots of adrenaline. You need 2 dummies. Well, one person needs 2 dummies, one person needs 3 dummies. You also need EOFs wise, if it's Vitalis week, you need a Dragon 2H. If it's Team Split week, you need a Dragon Longsword. If it's Squad Plus week, you need a Dragon Halberd. Length spec also helps, but possibly the least required thing here, but it definitely helps. And also, if you are a bomb tank, you need a Scythe. If you're not the bomb tank, then just use a 2H, or don't even bring a 2H. It's up to you, really. And I would recommend a Vamp Scrim. It's quite nice for phase 2 and 4 when you're just kind of chilling. And a Vit Pot, yeah, it can be nice on some of the weeks where you take a bit more damage. So another thing that is very useful, there is an Alt 1 application called Vorago Tag, I think it's called. Basically, this little box here essentially counts down the time in ticks until Vorago is attackable. And the thing with Duo Melee Vorago is attacking the boss on the very first tick is vitally important. Not so much for P3, but on P5 it is, imperative basically that you attack it at the first available moment. That's using target cycle and then pressing your ability to attack at the same time. After a while, you do kind of get into the habit, or you just kind of know when to do it. So I'm relying on this a lot less now, but it's still very nice to have when you're starting out. Basically, as soon as it hits 0.6, you press target cycle, and then your stuff will go into later to kill the boss. Right. So now you have to switch over. I've picked a video from a random kill on Twitch. One of the live streams that we do, of course, and essentially, sorry, I was gonna try and find some more music because me logging out there just kind of screwed me over, and we lost the music. But this will be just basically a standard kill as far as I can tell. It's just over 7 minutes, although I think I messed up on P5, but it's fine. But yeah, essentially phase 1, put down a dummy. You want to both Dragon Simi spec and then Link spec, build back to 100 adren. So the Dragon Simi spec, it makes your slash attacks basically virtually guaranteed to hit on the boss, which is really nice. That's where you slashy weapons like the Lengs or a Scythe or something, very slashy. And then Link spec obviously increases your hit cap, which is always nice. So you do that, you come down, and then you Zerk. So timer at the top, Zerk at 7 seconds, then Adren Pot, then target cycle barge at 9 seconds. Then just do some damage. And oh, okay, a bit of a freeze, a bit strange. But yeah, there is a way to solo lure this. I'm not very good at it. I probably won't get it here, but I might do. Okay, we lucked out, the boss walked the right way. Okay, so this part, not my strong point. So just, do your usual duo thing, but just try to do as much damage as you can. Basically what I do is barge, assault, something overpowered, chaos roar, dragon claws, hurricane, and it gets it pretty low. And then the guy at the top, if we rewind a second actually, while he's jumping, well, ideally he should Zerk up there and then jump. And as he's jumping, I can cast Heal Other on him, because that actually works during the jump. It's quite nice. Obviously that only works from either main to main or iron to main. It doesn't work if there's an Iron Man at the top, so I have to do Might have to lose a few seconds there if you're on iron, but it's not so bad. Hopefully they change that soon though, would be lovely. But yeah, that's phase 1. Just zerk it, smash it down. Happy days. P2, pretty standard as well. Nothing too much going on here. If you stand in this spot right here, when the bleeds come down, you can then wrap back around and go to the north of the boss. And oh, apparently got a bit messed up here, so oh, there we go. That's the right spot, I think. There, you can stand on the north side as the base tank, and then if the orb spawns nearby, you can actually click it without moving the boss. Quite useful. But yeah, then here, you know, I vamp scream if you need to. Make sure you stand 1 out of melee distance there. I just bombed my partner by accident, but it's fine. Pick up the things, we'll just skip through a bit. Then we're on clicky phase here. But during clicky phase, we need to drop down a dummy, and then here we just barge, assault, do 2 basics, and then dragon semi-spec, and then 2 more basics. Is it 2 more? And then you got like 4-tick hurricane or something, and you'll kill it pretty fast. And here is the important bit. So obviously P2 doesn't really matter too much, but P3, this is the phase that matters. So we need to natural instinct on the dummy as soon as possible. We have a dragon semi-spec up because we did it on the bring me down specs, that's fine. Here we need to obviously length spec as well, get the increased hit cap. And then ideally you switch to your crossbow, do a little greater ricochet and some piercing shot and stuff to try and get some adrenaline, which is not looking overly good right now for me, but got just about enough. And then there's a very specific point to zerk. It's right. So you press it like now, basically. Like right now you want to be zerking. So it does it as you come down. Then you place down a dummy. You target cycle the dummy. I mean, you don't have to, but I mean, it helps to target cycle it. Target cycle, anticipate, and then barge, and then chaos roar, and then over here, stall dragon claws. I've actually got a little thing I can put on screen. I made this earlier. How about that? So yeah, zerk, anticipate, barge, chaos roar, dragon claws, which we're stalling dragon claws, and the adren pot as well. And then we target cycle, and then we press smoke cloud, which instead of smoke clouding actually releases the dragon claws we stalled up earlier. We press assault, overpower, and then declaws hurricane. And then ideally, I didn't actually check this P3 beforehand, but ideally this happens. Okay, Pyrus messed it up and he attacked the dummy instead. So that can happen. That happens if you're if actually 1 tick late on the target cycle. That can happen. As you can see, it still died pretty fast. It would have died, significantly faster if both of us were on tick. I was on tick there, so it's fine. Let's just watch it again from here. So zerk, place dummy, anticipate, barge, chaos roar, dragon claws out of range, target cycle smoke cloud assault, overpower, claws, hurricane. And just it would be dead now if he didn't lose his claws at the start. So yeah. So as you can see, it's still doable if like one of you messes up. Like it's fine. But on certain weeks or like spec rotations, it can get a bit scary. And then yeah, standard stuff for the waterfall here. I'll just show you guys the first one. But what happens here is actually a nice trick here where if you barge the boss and then the base vokes it and walks away, and you go to the other end of the arena, the boss is like, huh? What's going on? And it actually skips the stone clone special attack. And if you do that for every single time, you actually save yourself like 40 seconds over the whole fight, which is super, super nice. So it's a nice little speed up there. And then here, because we're on Vitalis week, we have a Vitalis to deal with, or Vitalis spawn to deal with. What I'd like to do here is when I debilitate the boss to take a bit less damage, because you do get hit by bombs and stuff over here. It gets a bit scary. But essentially, you equip your Dragon 2H, you equip your Scythe, come over and then just spam your Dragon 2H spec with your EOF, and you should be able to get at least 2 of them off, and then deal with bleeds. It gets a bit messy sometimes if the Vitalis decide to survive, but for the most part, it's okay. Obviously, other weeks this is going to be easier or harder, but it's basically the same thing. So we'll just probably skip ahead again. It's exactly the same, and then we'll get to the build. So right here, so there are two things you can do really. Like you can stack up storm shards and then shatter out of this. You could like Vip Pot over here, or just like tank it and then just shatter straight away. I like to barge with my Excalibur on, with mobile perk, because that means that my barge will not be on cooldown for phase 5. An issue that I did run into, if the boss died too fast here, I wouldn't have barge for P5, and it really triggered me until it was pointed out that that's what was happening. Like I thought it was bugged, but no, it was just on cooldown because I was silly. But yeah, then basically the same thing as phase 2. Like end of phase 2 into phase 3, it's literally exactly the same. So Natural Instinct, Dragon Semi-Spec. This time we actually don't need Lang Spec, because Lang Spec doesn't actually help on P5. But make sure you Disruption Shield, very important. And then same thing again, like Zerk at this part. And if you're on the correct tick, you'll kind of get a feel for it. Again, like it's hard to accurately portray, but you will get a feel for it. So Zerk right there, and then just as before, you do the old Anticipate, place down the dummy, target cycle the dummy. It's better to target cycle than click, because you don't want to accidentally like auto attack it and lose your barge buff. So as long as you're on tick, you're fine. Then you do the old barge, Chaos Roar, stall the Dragon Claws, and then the target cycle Smoke Cloud, which releases the claws, then the assault, then you overpower Claws Hurricane, and it should be about dead. Can do a nice punish at the end here as well if you're running out of abilities. And oh yeah, make sure you got your Champion's Ring on instead of the Reaver's Ring for this phase, because splashing is very bad here. And then it should look a little something like this. And then it just kind of dies. That's not so bad, and apparently I didn't mess up the P5. I thought I did when I watched it earlier, but apparently not. Oh, Pyrus messed up though. He did a Dragon 2H apparently instead of some other things. He's trying to throw some G-Mauls in there and trying to be cool, but I'm just doing the old standard stuff. And apparently spam clicking Rago helps quite a lot here, so you don't like run out of range of it. But yeah, it's literally that simple. I mean, I say it's that simple. You will die a lot, but honestly, it's really fun, and I really would recommend doing Rago this way. Just takes a bit of time to get used to, and then happy days. But yeah, this phase is pretty important to target cycle perfectly though, because if it does a spec, then very bad things can happen. Like for example, if this was a team split P5, if it does a spec, you obviously can't attack the boss at that point, and then well, you kind of lose like 3/4 of your Zerk, which kind of sucks. So yeah, just getting the time in there is pretty important. But yeah, it'll just take time. Basically, it'll take time. But once you got it down, you can use stuff like this, get 7-minute kills, and yeah, it's fantastic. It really is. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this little talk through. I know some of you have been quite interested in it, and yeah, hopefully this helps, and maybe we'll get some people into it. The gear requirements are obviously very high. Oh, I cleared him like 10 energies, fantastic. Yeah, very high gear recs, but some of them are substitutable, of course. But as I said earlier, like Dragon Claws, Grimoire, Dragon Simi, Chaos Roar, I guess Zut Cape. I think most of you have that, but yeah, that stuff's all very important. But yeah, obviously you don't need a Blightbound. You can like sub that in for just any other kind of crossbow that can fire bolts, But yeah, it just takes practice, and good luck on your Raga kills. So thank you for watching. Hopefully this helps, and I will see you all again soon. Toodles.